The Nigerian Senate has rejected the nomination of the acting EFCC chairman Ibrahim Magu in the Senate chambers, sparking reactions on whether or not he should continue as the anti-corruption boss. The Department of State Services, the DSS, indicted him based on an integrity test. The Senate president said they have not confirmed Magu for the exalted position and the president should nominate someone else as EFCC boss. Is this the beginning of a major rift in the president's anti-corruption war? Will the president consider other options, if any? Data feeds are coming through in one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms to concentrate on the biggest stories yet. Channelstv.com, youtube.com/channels web. You can follow us right now on m.channelstv.com. We're live on Facebook as well, covering all our social media platforms. Be part of the show. Tweet at Gimba Umar CTV and use the hashtag State of the Nation to air your thoughts on the subject. You cannot come before the Senate in Mufti, the Senate tells the CGC. Colonel Hamid Ali, retired, is to respond to questions on the retrospective vehicle duty regularization, which the custom boss puts on hold after so much pressure from the people. A new date of Wednesday next week has been given to him when he was, of course, walked out of the Senate chambers. What if, come Wednesday, and he is defiant by not wearing the famous uniform? What then? What happens if a seeming battle for supremacy between the Comptroller General of Customs and the Senate persists? Will the president remain silent? These and more questions will be answered starting right now. It's prime time in Lagos, and this is State of the Nation. Welcome everyone in Nigeria and the rest of the world. I am Gimba Umar. Right behind me, data feeds still coming through in one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms. We got them covered. We're live on YouTube as well. Be part of the show and tweet at Gimba Umar CTV and use the hashtag State of the Nation. Let's get busy right now. For the second time, the Senate has rejected the confirmation of acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, Ibrahim Magu. The Senator, of course, representing Kogi West, Dino Milaye, had cited a fresh security report from the Department of State Services, the DSS, disqualifying him based on his failure in an integrity test. Mr. Milaye said that 2 reports from the DSS were released on Tuesday on Ibrahim Magu, and they both indicted him. The DSS report basically contained the same allegations raised by the service in December, which bordered on the purchase of Mr. Magu's official residence, his past records as head of the EFCC's Economic Governance Unit, as well as his relationship with one Muhammad Umar. The Executive Director of Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap Aditokunbo Mumini, will join me in just a moment. But let's first revisit that report by the Senate against the EFCC nominated boss, Ibrahim Magu.
Unsuccessful at the first attempt. Failed also at the second trial. The Senate has loudly rejected Mr. Ibrahim Magu as the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. President Buhari had sent the nomination of Mr. Ibrahim Magu to the Senate for confirmation a second time after the Senate refused to confirm the nominee the first time because of a security report from the Department of State Services, which indicted him on corruption allegations.
After this report,
however, federal lawmakers still questioned Mr. Magu on several issues, namely corruption within the EFCC, unlawful detention of suspects, and the EFCC's disregard for court orders. Things took a turn for the worse for the acting EFCC boss when a federal lawmaker read a security report from the Department of State Service which questioned the integrity of Mr. Magu. In the security report, the DSS is accusing Mr. Magu of allegedly using his position to settle personal scores, maintaining a high-profile private life, and conniving with an individual, Umar Mohammed, to approach clients for possible exploitation, favors, and associated returns.
Magu has failed the integrity test and will eventually constitute a liability to the anti-corruption drive of the present administration.
The acting EFCC boss, in turn, questioned the credibility of a second security report from the DSS.
There were two of such reports submitted to this office by the same law enforcement agency. Two different reports, the same day, about the same people. That goes to tell you the credibility of such an institution.
The explanation by Mr. Magu appeared not to satisfy the lawmakers, and when the question was put forward, Mr. Magu's journey to become the next EFCC chairman was dashed. However, former Senate leader Alin Dume has some reservations about the second security report from the DSS.
The issue of letter from DSS has been raised. I have two letters here. None of them is addressed to you. One is addressed to the clerk, one is addressed to the National SA. That is what has been done.
If there were two letters written to the clerks, I would totally agree with what you are saying. One letter was written to the clerk, one letter was written to the advisor to the National Assembly. Now, yesterday, the same agency referred to one of the letters. I think if there was any ambiguity beforehand, that has been there. But as you rightly said, this is a matter that we have ruled about, and I think it's important for us. We should not rubbish an institution.
Some lawmakers who spoke to Channels Television explained their reasons for rejecting Mr. Ibrahim Magu as EFCC boss.
When he appeared today, questions taken from those key issues that the DSS talked about were, read to the nominee by different senators in different forms. And to the best of my knowledge, he has not done justice to those questions.
Attention will now be shifted to President Buhari to see how he would respond to the rejection of his nominee for a second time by the Senate for the position of EFCC chairman. Now, this is because in a letter which President Buhari wrote to the Senate renominating Mr. Magu in January this year, he cleared him of any wrongdoing. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.